All right. Good morning, anybody. I believe this is where I left off. There probably isn't, but a few milliseconds from where I left off to now. But in my world, it's been probably 6 days, something like that. Some things happen in the background, obviously, had work, things like that. But I'll try to catch you up, let you know what showed up, where I'm at, and then I'll probably get back into some video of things going together again and see where we can get. So first things first, this thing was a roller in the last little bit, clip, whatever, the body showed up. It's a J Concepts. It's a discontinued body, but some places are still carrying it. It's a 72 K10 pickup. I knew what the wheelbase was. I knew I might be a little bit long, so I did make an initial adjustment with stuff that I had, and it still is a touch long. I don't mind if they're a little bit long. For the body, I'd rather have it be a little too long than a little too short, but this is out there a little too much. So I ended up changing the rear links, and the top ones I was able to move enough. If this is in another segment, I apologize. It's been a minute since I was touching this thing. But yeah, there's enough adjustment in the holes here. It made up for it. I still didn't like the length, so some stuff has shown up. Besides the body, the motor, ESC all-in-one, a servo, drive shafts, and then a set of links. So I took some pretty specific measurements, and I got a set of links for the lower portion. We're going to put those in. There should shorten it up, I'm guessing like 10 to 12 millimeters. And I believe I have enough room in these holes to accommodate that with the uppers. If not, we'll see. I have some other links that are shorter. I may have to install those and then move the mount back, which is fine. I have some other trucks where there's a pretty good ratio between the upper and the lower, and it doesn't seem to hurt anything. If anything, it might help a little. I'm not a geometry guru, but just from the multiple trucks that I have, it seems to prove okay. Other than that, the tire size for these fender openings isn't terrible. It's a little wider than I wanted for this body also, and even is still a little wider than I wanted. These are the hexes that came stock on the wheels. So I changed those out for some extremely thin, low profile ones. And it brought the whole thing in about a half an inch. So with that being said, if it came in a half an inch and it's still too wide, it was pretty wide. And these are actually cheat codes. So they're narrower than the normal Capra width axles. So that tells you this body is a little on the narrow side. More about it then, because I kind of started on that. It is discontinued, like I might have said, but there are still some retailers that carry it. Proline only has a Ford body that is kind of in this same format now, and it's a pretty cool body too. But yeah, so that's the body. This is how it's going to work out. This is kind of like an in-betweener truck, 425s, portals, kind of a full body. Just something in between, class 2 475 stuff and then class 1 stuff. I've probably alluded to that already. Just going with cut to length. I believe they were Who Crawler or one of the Amazon kind of brand names. I always, of late, buy the 3-piece deals, because then if you're doing something with a carrier bearing, obviously you need 3 drive shafts, or at least when it comes to cut to lengths, there's nothing that you can put together without it. But then you also just end up with an extra drive shaft. For the money, it's better to just do that. And then, like I said, these links, a bunch of paint, sorry for the noise, clear, some high-vis yellow, That's one that I've been mixing myself. And then a bunch of white. You can't go wrong with having white if you back other stuff or if you want a white vehicle. Other than that, it's just been some minor things like wire loom and stuff to, cover wires. Oh, well then, here we go. So there's the motor ESC combo. This is the Rocket Gecko 3660 Fusion. A couple people have reviewed it already. You'll see it out there. It's a hobby wing. It's a hobby wing Fusion. It's got FOC, but I think it's probably a little easier to program from what I've seen. It's kind of just a plug and play. I got a program card in case I need to make any adjustments, and it's a little bit different than the hobby wing. I mean, it's got like a fleet of different settings on there, which I probably won't need, but we have it just in case we need it. So other than that, things that I've come across in between the last clip and now, I'm probably going to have to space the transmission up, just kind of dummying this motor in there. I needed to wait until I got to this point to see if I had the room between this everything on axle mount and the front of the transmission. Plus there's another one here. This is like two separate pieces. You could just run this top bridge like I've probably already stated. You can just run this. I don't know what you'd get out of that. Maybe, I guess, yeah, I don't know what you'd get out of that. And then there's this guy, which would replace both of these. You probably saw it earlier, and it's got a servo mount, centered servo mount, and then a spot for a battery back here. I do have some pretty small 850s on the way that I'll probably use on this truck. So we'll see. It's still a little bit of mock-up with that. It may end up showing up in the video. I don't know. I don't know, like left to right, how this axle is balanced. So with the diff being here and the servo being here, it might get a little hefty on this side. Also over here, I think I'm gonna have to worry about the servo making contact with this shock. It is here, so I guess I could place it in there and see what's going on with it. But yeah, there's a little piece of me that wants to move that servo back to the middle and then scoot the battery pack back. But you can see when I get this thing into here and up against the motor plate, I got enough room to stick my finger in there, and that's about it. So the other tray is probably going to interfere. So with that said, the only thing I could really probably do with this one is to remove some of this, maybe cut off this outer one, gain myself 6-8 millimeters there, but it's still going to be pretty tight. So we'll just have to see how it looks. Wait till the batteries get here, mock up on this one. It's just nuts and bolts, and I'll change it if I need to. I got, a couple different links. Mia sends a couple different links. So I probably have some options for going center mount or non-center mount. It came with all the stuff for servo on axle or behind the axle. So they have a variety of things, different horns, this and that. But yeah, I'm probably blabbing now. So that should have you caught up with where I went while I wasn't filming, which wasn't much. It was more time going by and receiving parts than anything. Maybe the body, that's it. I just trimmed the bottom out and dummied it on there, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, it's definitely still a little bit long. If I could pull another ½ inch out of it, I think it would be pretty good. And I think that's where we'll be at. So back to the build, I guess. All right, so like I said, there's a lot of adjustment here. I didn't know if there would be enough for these links, and apparently there isn't going to be enough here. My pinion angle is going to be a little bit too input end high, so I think I'm definitely going to need to pull out some other links. Before I go set in stone on this thing in the length, I was going to go ahead and set this body back up on here and see when I get that pinion angle about right how that wheelbase is looking. And that does look much better. I think we'll be in the ballpark. So let me dig through my other links and see what I got. All right, so I had some Enduro 120s. Mias ends work well with the axles. It's looking like it's going to be right in that ballpark we need. I mean, when it's coming down to 1 millimeter, would probably hit the mark perfect. I don't know if it's even worth trying to chase it. So pin these in. See where we end up. Shocks definitely took on some more advantage being stacked up like that. And I may want to put some bent ends on back at the pumpkin. I don't know here. Let's try to flip one and see how that's. This one there, so I have to run the other direction. So. Throw that on here so they can fall apart. Yeah, them shocks are a little more stood up now, so they got definitely some more advantage. I may need to take another hole forward on them. Shortening it up like this kind of took out that balance that I had. As far as the wheelbase goes, it's looking pretty good. I would like for it to sit about there, so I may end up having to swap to full droop also, but let's see how much more I have for back. Pretty close to even. Yeah, we'll see. More to come on that. All right, I'm going to take a little break. I got to take care of some stuff, and then I'll pick back up. All right, so I went ahead and made some more holes real quick. I'm going to go ahead and use this as a 3 millimeter reamer in a pin vise. It's just a good way to me to finish bolt holes for all this stuff. tires are pretty tacky. Some splinters on the inside, so I just run that countersink in there real quick. Pin this one on so stuff quits falling out. Could probably go one in between that. We're tapping out on this chassis brace on the link. Could roll them down a little. Ooh, pretty good. Nice and low. Sweet. All right, so I think that's pretty much it. Back to roller setup, but with a wheelbase that I like better, so let's drop a tape across that. See where we're at now. Kind of like going from the truss to the truss. That's showing about 313. Axle stub to stub, it's pretty much right on the same thing. So 313 looks pretty good. I don't remember what they called this thing out as being. I gotta put something in here to hold the front end up for now. That's looking pretty good. Might get a little rubbish, but everything's rounded. Yeah, I like that. All right. Pick it back up when I get into the next task. All right, so putting a little weight on here and setting the body back down on it. Yeah, motor back in there. It's not going to really gain too much more than that. I don't think the receiver is going to add that much. Battery's going to be up here, but I'll quit beating around the bush. Back in with the body load, and the new hole that I made is a little bit low. So I'm going to put one more, and I'm just going to go the same distance between center of hole and center of hole and all these adjustment ones. I'm just going to pull back that much and drop another hole in this thing. And see how that does once I weight it up. I always drill in steps, so I'll do that one and then bump up and then go to my reamer. Okay, I'm going to get the vacuum out, and yeah, I'll come back when these are done. I'm going to move this other side into place. The holes are done. Perfect. Pretty much running out the shock travel at the same time that the links are coming close to this brace. That's holding pretty good. All right, that's better. Sag. Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll continue. I just, whoops, mocked that guy up in there, but I'm going to go ahead and put the permanent hardware on it and have it set up. I think the 850s I have coming are pretty much this length. Yeah, they're going to be real similar in length, also width, but I think they'll be a little bit taller than this. I think they're going to be about 5/8 thick instead of a half. So hopefully footprint wise they'll be the same. They can land right here on this half. I may not even need to use this back tray right here. I really don't think I'm going to, but it actually spaces this piece up, so it'll stay there, and it's another option for whatever. I could even potentially put the receiver on that plate right there and have literally everything on the axle. So yep, we'll see how that goes. I'll finish this up and see where we end up. I don't think the holes on these servo brackets are bottom tapped or tapped through. Some of these longer ones are basically bottoming out. We're not able to run all the way through, so I'll probably have to run through with a tap, chase it out. Oh, that explains. The bottom one isn't a through hole, the top one is. But this top one was giving me trouble, so I don't know what's up with that. We'll find out more. There we go. All right, next update. I think all the wheelbase stuff is done that you saw. I put some tacky stuff on a couple things to try to mock up the body and get back, and it's pretty much right there. So that's good. The next thing I got into, wow, that stuff's pretty tacky. The next stuff I got into was the Servo. That probably already kind of had started, but it's looking like that's going to be the spot. But these two servo brackets, I think I'm going to drill holes back a little farther and try to bring it back a little bit more over the axle. We'll put a horn on it. This thing here, this is a bit of a long boy. We'll try to put a horn on it and see what it looks like, you know, swinging. But with it like it is, it's really going to kick the link out into the front pretty far. It's not going to be past tires or past the body or anything, but we'll just see how it goes. And then other than that, I got the plate put onto the gearbox underneath here. Hopefully you get a little glare and you can see that somehow. And then went ahead and meshed up the motor to the gearbox. So that's pretty much where it is. I had a drive shaft yoke and U-joint on here just for checking mesh. But what would be next, I would say, is literally probably doing drive lines and body mounts. I don't like this thing so much back here. I have some materials, so I may make a rear mount. And then the front, this is too short for this chassis, kind of. You know, I would like to get it out here where the mark is, that khaki stuff left, but it's hitting like back here in the cowl or the bottom of the windshield is where this post on this little body mount is. So I'm gonna have to get a little creative and bring something out here. I'm thinking maybe like some shot keys. I have some shot keys, I believe, that I can bring out, and then put some mounts. But I might have to get some of those like 10 Pro style mounts to put on there once they're out, and go ahead and pick up 2. And then on the back, I haven't quite decided yet. I have some angle aluminum and carbon plate. I may try to make something out of that to get me my clearance, because I mean, here I still probably have a good, I don't know, 7/16 to a ½ inch clearance. So I don't need to be, you know, that high up. But the frame rails are definitely below the link right here. But I don't think I need as much clearance as I have. So we'll figure something out there. And then I'll just build body mounts off of that. Whatever I come up with for a brace riser back there. And once that's done, that's really about it. My battery packs are due here today. We'll see how they tuck up in here. Hopefully they're, like I said, they're about the same footprint as this one, from what I can tell, but they may be a little thicker. So the stack height might be as tall as the Servo, which is fine. I got plenty of clearance under the hood for that as well. So cut some drive shafts, make sure everything clears, and body mounts. And I think we'll be at the point of the CC Ghost Ride status. Clear body driving and see how everything is. I know this thing's going to rub a little bit just because the tires are hanging out so far, but it seems, from what I can tell, like it won't be too bad. And it doesn't really bother me if they do or not, other than if it is actually like hindering the vehicle's operation. A little bit of tire scrub is fine with me. So yeah, I will shut up again and get some video going on another piece of the project. Right, drive shafts are cut. I got the yokes and U-joints in here. Just got to put the pieces in. Front one might be a little bit different. I'm probably gonna have to take one of these off. It's too short to put together. Rub in here. Pretty close. Probably could have cut that one a little shorter. We'll see how it acts. If we need to, we'll pop it out, grind some out. I always compress as far as I can to make them as short, the distance as short as it's going to be, so that way, when the suspension is compressed, we still have some slop. it looks all right. I've only got like a mil of clearance in here, so we'll see. Then the other issue, there's those, is this bolt right here for the upper link is pretty close, i.e. like making contact. So I may try to run a countersink and see if flattening the head out helps to get me a little bit of clearance. I don't need much. My rigs are all kind of weird, and there's some things that rub in places, and they'll make room for themselves eventually. Okay, I guess that leaves us at body mounts. That's probably going to be tedious, so I'm not going to make you guys ride along for that. I will just get it done and then bring you back in. All right. Something happened. It's alive. So I was going to work on the body mount stuff, like I said, but if I don't have those 10 Pro style mounts, probably not going to be able to get very far. Other than making the bracket back here and literally like bolting on the shot keys here, I don't think it would get anywhere. Plus I'll lose this brace, so I'm going to have to figure out something to mount in there. I have braces I can probably put in there, but we'll see what happens with the shot keys. So rather than that, since I had the drive shafts going, I figured I'd mess with the motor ESC combo and get the receiver paired up and all that stuff. So I did, and it moves. And I think I am going to be able to set it up where it is literally everything on the axle. Obviously, other than the motor and the ESC, because it's all in one. So it runs. I took it out to get the endpoint set on the steering and the trim set, and it's good. Before that, though, when I first got it together, there was something going on in the transmission, so I did have to take all that out, disconnect the drive lines, everything, pull the gearbox out, and I believe all it was, I looked at the mesh, and it didn't look like it was that deep in, but it's an optical illusion when you're trying to look through this little port on the back of the transmission here, and I think that the set screw for the pinion gear was just catching the edge of some teeth. So after breaking it down completely and looking through everything, you know, take one piece off at a time and see what the clicking noise is. I could tell it was in there, and it just broke it down, and it looked like the only thing that could have been a problem. So we took care of it, and now it moves. Obviously, I'll have to do some more permanent stuff with the mounting of all this. I may bring the power button back and just park it right back here on the skid. Then I'll be able to reach under the body and hit it. Or if I am, you know, holding the car up in the air, I can just reach through the bottom, maybe through here, and get at it. But this is apparently the equivalent to an 1800. Some of the other channels out there have made that clear. Oh, I guess it has power off if you don't run it. it will go to sleep on you, which is fine. If the radio goes to sleep on you, then you wouldn't have to worry about forgetting any of that. Yeah, so this is supposedly an 1800 kV. They call it a 3660 Surpass Gecko 3660 FOC Fusion. So an 1800, it's a 14 tooth pinion, and then the stock gears, there's no split here. I think I got a set of underdrive in a box down here, but I kind of just want to drive it and see what it does with the 50-50 split. I mean, as far as low speed goes, let's wake this screen up. Low speed, I mean, the throttle indication mark on this screen is like barely coming into play, and I've got rotation on my wheels. See if I can do this in a fashion. They're moving, and it is slow. Things pretty quiet, pretty smooth. We'll see when we get a body over top of it and it starts to amplify everything how it is. Back end's not fully weighted right now. The drive shaft angles are okay. Those bottom links weren't double bend, so I'm not really getting to take advantage of the high clearance of the chassis. But they get right there with the drive shaft, so at least at the back, and when it's weighted, the angles don't look too bad. The front one is pretty well lined up. It's not perfectly straight, but when I put the gearbox back in, the U-joint and everything, the yoke was real close to this bolt, and when I put this all back together, I was able to move it just a little bit. I had a little bit more gap between the motor can and the bolt for the link on this side, so I took advantage of that. Steering, it works fine. This is out here, like, it's out here a little ways. So I got another truck up here. It has some servo mounts that don't have this L kind of a shape right here. They're just straight blocks that bolt onto the plate. So I may try to find a set of those, because I was going to drill another hole further back and try to close up this gap between these two a little bit more, so it's not so bad. And I might still, I mean, what are we looking at here? About 6.5 millimeters. If I could pull 5 out of that, that wouldn't be bad. And I think I could probably, there's probably enough room here where I could sneak one. Drill that side from the top. I can drill the other side from the bottom. So maybe I'll work on that. See if I can get that servo shifted back a little bit with those new bolt holes. And yeah, other than that, I'm probably going to call this it for the video. Not for the whole build, but it may take me a minute to get this body thing rigged up and set up, and you guys probably don't want to see me try to finagle and drill a couple holes here. So that'll probably be what I'll do next, and then I'll have to wait for some mounts. I may start mocking up that back plate. If I do, I'll try to at least get some pictures, and maybe I can plug them in right here. But in the end, I'll give you guys a tour of the whole thing. like a summary. I won't go in depth like some of the other truck tours because you didn't see me build those or any part of the build really. So yeah, once again, blabbing, but this should be the end of it. So thank you. And if you have any questions, send them on over.